The Remington R51. This is going to be a different type review. There have been so many videos out there showing the Remington R51 as a huge failure. And guys, I'll tell you, the first generation was terrible to the point that they ended up recalling all of them. Based on the original R51, a really cool, beautiful classic pistol. And it was neat that Remington decided to kind of bring back some of those old school stylings. I mean, this looks like something out of the 1950s as a ray gun. It's definitely a lot different than the original. It does retain a lot of the classics. Now, I've seen a number of reviews, even on the new Gen 2 model. There have been a lot of problems with these handguns. So GunBuyer.com got in touch with me and asked if I would be willing to review the R51. They said they had a few in stock, and they said it would be just something that they'd like for me to review. And so I said, I will. After some hesitation, and then I told them, I said, look, if this gun comes in and I have a lot of problems with it, I'm just gonna pack it up and send it back to you. So I took it down to the range, and I'll tell you guys, I put 600 rounds through this pistol, and I had one malfunction. All right, guys, I really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, but I'm going to try some different ammo. This is just 115 grain full metal jacket, which this stuff should work. We're going to try some Freedom Munitions 124 grain. We're going to try some Armscor, also 124. I think I've got some 147 grain. And then we have some of the X Defense. This is from Freedom Munitions as well. This is 124 grain plus P, jacketed hollow points. We're going to try some 124 grain from Armscor, see how it does. 124 grain Freedom Munitions full metal jacket. Now we're going to try some Freedom Munitions 147 grain, and this is the XAP round, which is a hollow point. That actually shot softer than the 124 grain. Now we're going to try some 124 grain. This is jacketed hollow point from Freedom Munitions. It's the X-Def. That's plus P rounds. You can tell the difference. So far, no malfunctions at all. So then I took it out and wanted to try some accuracy to see how well it shot. It seemed to be a very flat shooting gun. The recoil was just very mild, and it just has a good feel to it. I mean, it's a single stack, so it's a 7-in-1. It's just got a nice solid grip on it. And yet, again, I think it's the Peterson design that's in this barrel, because it is a departure from the original Browning. It was just a very fun shooting handgun. It tracked well, it shot well. In fact, I actually took it down with another pistol and just thought, if I don't really do that well with this one, I'm just going to switch over and shoot the other one. But I ended up just shooting all my ammo pretty much out of the R51. And so we're going to take a look at some of the breakdown features, a lot of the things about the handgun, but I first just wanted to kind of bring this out to you. Listen, I'm not paid by Remington, and GunBuyer.com just sent the pistol. They're not paying me to do the review. But I really thought, you know, I want to get my take on this handgun. I have seen some decent reviews on it, and this may be just an anomaly because there are a lot that have had issues, guys that I know that are very reputable. But here's the thing, guys, no matter what, you know, we take our guns, we take them out, we show our findings, and we kind of put our take on it. And I think that's what really helps to have a good, well-rounded gun community. You know, if I'd put a glowing review out on this pistol, in fact, when I first got it and I took it down to the range, I thought, please don't be flawless, because I knew I would catch a lot of things in the comments and that I was trying to deceive. And that's one thing about it, guys, is, you know, people are making purchases for guns that they could depend on for self-defense, and that's the last thing in the world I'm going to do, is to hide something or misrepresent, especially if there are problems. One of the things that made me interested in this handgun was the design. I mean, it's definitely a very retro kind of look to it, and a very big departure from a lot of the guns that we're seeing. So to me, this was something that it was somewhat intriguing. And then again, after, you know, seeing a lot of the different reviews and a lot of the problems that they had, you know, this pistol, which is a very unique pistol, you know, has some unique problems, or did have, and I'm still seeing some reliability issues with a lot of the reviews. But here's the thing, guys, I want to bring to you this pistol because there are some cool features about it, and this may just interest you. Now, one of the things that's very unique about this handgun is the Peterson hesitation locked action. In fact, John Peterson was the one who designed this action back in the 1917 is when the original pistol was designed, and it was in 32 ACP or 380 ACP, and production stopped about 1927. But this obviously is a major departure from the original, but yet it still retains that same action, and it's mainly right here in the barrel. You'll notice this split right here with the chamber, and then you see this sleeve. And this is a very unique design. You can see it coming back, get a little better look at it. And one of the things that it has in here is a breech block in the back. And if we take a dowel and put it down the barrel and push, you can see that it'll face up. And what that does, that gives it just enough hesitation to be able to release the gases and then to open up safely. So it is a somewhat of a blowback design, but it's really a low recoil design. And we'll look at that a little bit more when we break this pistol down. It is in 9mm. It's 7+1 in the magazine. It does come with 2 stainless steel magazines. We'll go ahead and drop this out and check the chamber, and it is unloaded. The magazines are decent quality. The witness holes are a little funny. When you put the 7 rounds in, it's a little difficult to tell exactly if it's full or not, because it's just a little bit blinded, but still, you know, you only fit 7, so it's not that difficult. Okay, it is a stainless steel slide, and it has what they call the FNC coating, but to me it looks very much like a black nitride or a melanite finish. It's a very well finished handgun. And you know, there are a lot of people that just don't like it. They don't like the way it looks. Me personally, I like the way it looks. It has an anodized aluminum 7075 T6 aluminum receiver. So it's again different than your polymer frames that you're seeing a lot of, but it does have polymer inserts here, and I believe that there were plans or are plans to put maybe a rosewood option, or even, you know, a different colors, G10, things like that. So, you know, you can dress it up just a little bit. The sights are very rounded off, low profile, and they are 3-dot. You can see that 3 dots resting, and then you do have a cocking shelf for one-handed reloads, which to me is important on a self-defense handgun. And it also has a memory pad right here, so when you're putting your finger up, you can feel that little texture right there on the frame. It does have nice lines in the slide. The serrations, very easy to grab, and slide stop here on this side. We have our mag release, and we have an ambidextrous mag release, so I can use my trigger finger if I want to, or I can just use the regular thumb to get these mags out, and they do eject out really well. Nice serrations on the front of the grip. Here on the rear, no serrations, but there is a grip safety, and it's very easy to grab. The original had that grip safety, And so, and it does ride really well over your hand. Now, if you have fairly meaty hands, this can wear on your hand somewhat. I know Graham Bates did a review, and that was one of the issues he was having. And that's definitely something for certain people. But for me, it's a really low bore axis. Typically in pistols this size in 9mm, they can be pretty snappy, but this was definitely not snappy. And again, the original was designed in 32 ACP and 380. The trigger guard is undercut right here again to allow for you to get that hand up, and it's at a 20-degree grip angle. It does have a slight little extension right here in front of the magazine well that just helps to kind of fit into your hand. I'll tell you guys, it's a very comfortable handgun in your hand. It's only about an inch wide, so it's really thin. This would be a great size for your pocket for concealed carry. It's 7 3/4 inches in length, and it's 4.5 inches in height. The weight on the R51 with the magazine, 1 pound, 6.4 ounces. Now let's check the trigger action. It is a polymer skeletonized trigger, and it's just a little bit of a different style, but you do have your grip safety, so there's no trigger safety. We have a little bit of take up right here, and a really nice clean break. Now reset is right there. It is very quiet, and it's not very tactile. But guys, this reset is excellent. The trigger pull is excellent on this handgun. We're going to check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. We got to depress the grip safety. 3 pounds, 10.4 ounces. 4 pounds, 0.7 ounces. 3 pounds, 14.2 ounces. So just under the 4 pound mark. Now we're going to disassemble the R51. One of the things I'll tell you up front is that it's a fairly complicated way to disassemble and to reassemble this handgun. So even behind the camera, it may be a little tougher than it is regularly. Just go ahead and make sure the chamber is empty. There's a notch to hold the slide open, but then here is the takedown notch for your takedown pin. So we're going to bring it right over this area right here. Now here's your takedown pin. It's flush, so really you can do it without any kind of punch, but it makes it a lot easier. And then we just pull out the slide stop. Now pull back on your slide, and you'll notice these serrations on the barrel, and that's so you can grab the barrel. And then you just push your slide forward. Do not pull the trigger before you disassemble. Then we're going to let it go. Now this is where things get a little bit even more complicated. Here you have your locking block or breech lock. Here we have the barrel, and here we have the bushing. And so what we're going to do is we need to bring the barrel out a little bit, and it's kind of sharp right there at the feed ramp, and then just drop that locking block out of the slide. There it goes. And this is your locking block, your firing pin, and so that just gives you a lot different than your standard pistol. Now if you'll notice, there's a cutout here and here that corresponds with this bushing. And what we need to do is get this bushing up into that slot, and then we can lift up the barrel and it'll come out. This is what locks this collar into place. One thing I'm going to do is take it back here and here and bring it forward. And then lift up my barrel with my thumb. There we go, and it comes right out. Honestly, that's the easiest way I've found to do it, is getting it through the chamber right here, or the cutout, and then pushing this forward. We have our recoil spring, and we have our collar, which you can see there's a lip back here so it fits over the barrel like this. Then again, that really strange serration area right there on your barrel. Nice feed ramp. It's fairly sharp when you're doing this. One thing you'll notice is it says that this is rated for +P. One of the things about that to me is we have an aluminum frame, and you're going to have that locking collar butting up against this aluminum. And while I think it would be safe probably to shoot a few rounds, I would not do a steady diet of +P rounds in this pistol. And now the gun is field stripped. I want to show you though the inside of the frame, how real simple it is. There's your hammer. Of course, it's an internal hammer, and you have your ejector right here.
In the slide you have cutouts, of course area for the hammer, but again, very simple. And definitely a very different system for around the turn of the 20th century. So now we're going to go ahead and reassemble. We're going to put our locking collar on, the barrel, and our recoil spring. Bring in your recoil spring. I would suggest to go ahead and bring that collar and get it into its position. There we go. It's a little tricky, but the more I do it, the more I'm able to get it to fit. The barrel sometimes gets a little bit off-centered, so you're going to need to watch that. And so here we've got it started, but we just need to bring it out, be able to get it out like this. Now we're going to bring our barrel forward. We're going to set in our locking block, just like this. And then we release it. Now we need to push the barrel forward and grab those serrations. You don't want to turn the slide over because your locking block will fall out. I'm going to use a magazine to do that because it is a little tricky on your hands after a while. Just going to grab hold of the barrel. We're going to put the slide on upside down, a little different, and we're going to collapse the extractor, just like that. Once you release that barrel, sometimes it'll hang up just a little bit. If you just rack it, it'll pop into place. And I accidentally did that off camera. Guys, before we put it in our slide stop, this is a very important point. You'll notice this spring right here. This needs to go over the small arm right here in your slide stop. And I have not found a natural way to get it to do it. I think it's cut, so it probably will. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring back the slide into the right position. Go ahead and put this in. Now it's supposed to fit right into that spring. I have not been able to get it to do it, so I'm going to take a small scribe, lift that spring, and pop it into place. Now, one way to check that is that without a magazine, pull the slide back. If it holds open, it's not in place. If it will, it's in place. And I would say that's all you need to do to field strip the R51. But there are a lot of considerations with this pistol. Disassembly and reassembly is one of them. And it comes in this green cardboard box, and of course the owner's manual, extra magazine, foam cutout, and your safety lock. The retail price on the R51 is $448. On the GunBuyer.com website, the price is $239, which is a great price for an aluminum framed hammer-fired pistol. You can also get the R51 in a stainless steel color finish on the frame. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. You know, the thing about this handgun to me is it's a complete departure from a lot of the designs that we're seeing today, with the aluminum frame, with the Peterson hesitation lockup system that actually helps with felt recoil. The accuracy on the pistol was just top notch. The sights are very easy to see. They're low profile. They have the little notch. Magazines look good, and good quality magazines. I mean, and overall, the look of this pistol to me is exceptional. It's beautiful. It's kind of again, a retro looking 1950s, even though this was made in 1917. Of course, this is an upgraded version of the original, which does look like it was made in about 1917. But there are a lot of things about this handgun, the grip angle, just the way it shoots, it's very flat shooting, that I love. Some of the cons, number one is the disassembly is atrocious. I mean, it is tough. And, you know, I disassembled this handgun a number of times before the review, and my thumbs were, you know, it took a while to figure it out. The funny thing is, once I kind of got it figured out, it got easier over time. So, you know, it was not really as big a deal after I knew what I was doing. But even more so is the reliability of these pistols. Now, again, I shot 600 rounds through this handgun of various type ammunitions. Hollow points, regular, full metal jacket, different brands, different bullet weights, and they all shot extremely well. The only malfunction that I had was right at the end of shooting, and I was doing some accuracy tests, and it just had that one hang up. I mean, one malfunction is not a deal breaker, and especially on a brand new handgun. But the problem I have is that there is a lot of issues with this pistol across the internet. Guys, just to be honest with you, when I take a gun out, I typically just have good results. With a brand new manufacturer, the technology that goes into these, really you should not have any real problems. Even that failure to feed could have been an ammunition issue. So, you never know. I think I was using Freedom Munitions 115 grain full metal jacket. But I haven't had a lot of problems with those, so I can't really attribute it to that. But having one malfunction out of 600 is pretty good odds. But the big problem I have is seeing what a lot of other guys have experienced. And there have been a lot of reliability issues with these pistols, with some guns. Now, maybe this is a later model, and it's just they've refined even those issues. I can't say to that. All I can speak to is my experience. And my experience is that if I didn't know about all these other problems, I would really like this gun to the point that I would feel confident carrying it. Knowing all the issues that I know, though, it puts a lot of, trepidation on carrying something that, I may not find is reliable. Now, that can happen to anything, but when it really starts happening a lot, it's something to really consider. I put up a picture of this on my Instagram, and I just put it out there with some ammo and said I went through 600 rounds with one malfunction. And, people just were freaking out in the comments. And guys, the thing is, what do you want me to say about this pistol? That I had problems? Because I didn't. One malfunction. The problem is, guys, we have to look at all the different reviews, and that is my point. There's a number of different video reviews of the R51, or any handgun that you're looking for. Doesn't matter what it is. Go and do your research. Don't watch this video, which I doubt that many people will just watch this video and run out and buy a gun. But don't just watch one video and run out and make a purchase on a firearm that you're depending on for self-defense. So that is just my big takeaway here. I've said that a number of times in the past, and I'll keep saying it, is, guys, it keeps us all honest. The one thing about YouTube is that there's a bunch of different reviewers out there reviewing. And let's say if I tried to say this gun is perfect, I think you ought to carry it, I highly recommend it, you're going to have 10 out there saying no. And so, it really helps to keep us all honest. And I've said that a million times. So, again, Remington's not paying me to do this. Again, Remington doesn't even know who I am. Or if they do, I've never talked to them. GunBuyercom, again, sent this for the test and evaluation. They sell a ton of other handguns and rifles and everything else. So they have no vested interest, except that they probably would like to sell the ones that they have. To me, the big takeaway here is that for me, I like this. I mean, I like the pistol. I'm going to keep it, and I'll shoot it because I have a lot of other guns that I depend on for self-defense. Do your homework before you make a purchase, especially on a self-defense pistol.
Amen and amen.
Now, am I recommending this handgun for self-defense? No, I'm not. I think that would be a poor choice, a poor decision. There have been just way too many issues with the R51. What I will say, though, is if you're looking for something that is different, that you like to take to the range, because let's face it, guys, the average gun owner owns at least 12 guns, and that was a survey taken a few years ago. A lot of us buy handguns, and we have primary and we have secondary, and we just have guns we just enjoy shooting. And it's like I always say, it's my 401G. I mean, guns really retain their value. The R51, is it going to be around in 5-10 years? Who knows? But it will definitely increase in value over that time. So if for nothing else, I think that the R51 is a great gun to pick up and take out and enjoy. So I'm definitely not saying that you shouldn't go out and purchase this, but I am saying that I would not recommend this for self-defense. And I want to thank GunBuyer.com for sending this pistol for the test and evaluation. And guys, I'll tell you, GunBuyer is one of the best resources for guns on the website. They have anything you can imagine, because the R51 is not the only gun on the website. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. just malfunctions like every time, you know. And I told him if I take it down,
Definitely one of the first things that I like. Definitely one of the first things that I like about this pistol is one of the things that I love about this pistol. In fact, Remington says this is one of the low bore axes. In fact, Remington says this is the lowest bore axe in its class. In fact, Remington here, and this little. So we're going to put it back on our slide. Now go ahead and pull back on the slide and grab the hammer.